Greetings, Captains. It's Admiral Revan here. Hope you're doing well. And today, it's been a while since I've done a warship review, actually. So this warship I'm reviewing is the Tier 10 French, excusez-moi, battleship. This battleship is the Bourgogne. The Bourgogne is a fantastic Tier 10 battleship of the French Navy. It is a steel warship in World of Warships, and it is quite an exceptional vessel to acquire in the game. I have to say though, folks, I mean, like, when I have seen this Bourgogne in action for the first time, I was absolutely stunned about everything about this warship and why people love it so much. For the Bourgogne, it is a 30,000 steel warship. It is worth the steel. It is worth the weight, and also it's worth the hype. So the survivability of it has great citadel protection, great anti-torpedo protection. The health pool is only the negative side about it. It's only like a small and a low level protection against HE shells, but that's not a real issue. The Bourgogne is definitely a devastating warship. It's got a great reload booster for the main batteries, long range in terms of firing, and also the main battery shells have low armor penetrating capabilities. That's the only negative side of things, but the secondary batteries and the movement is also considered to be a great thing. So there's a lot of things about it that I consider that this is, you know, well worth it. So, you know, as you can see here, the damage control party, or DCP for short, it is very beneficial, as well as repair party, as well as the main battery, reload booster, and also engine boost. So what is so good about the Bourgogne? Well, to be fair, for 380mm guns, it is a pretty decent warship. It's got 2 in the front with 4 barrels and 1 in the rear. This ship moves. It is pretty solid vessel all around. I mean, like, the max speed of this vessel is 33.6 knots. It's a standard speed for a battleship like this, but it has engine booster, so you can move it at high speeds as you see fit. But I will admit though that this warship really kicks ass, no doubt. Since that is the case, I shall show you a video based on that. Well, folks, I have to admit that I found a great Bourgogne replay for you to watch this thing in action, because this ship is pretty much a badass warship. It is fantastic all around. It does a great job. So I'll show you the commander build I have on this ship here. So what you're seeing is that this is the commander build for a 16-point commander. Notice that I have not 3 unskilled points I have not used yet, but this is something that I've been working on at the moment at this stage. But at the moment I have gun feeder, as well as grease gears, the secondary long range, as well as adrenaline rush. I am working towards, you know, whatever the next skill I'm going to be using it for, which is probably going to be the manual secondaries, which is the 4-point commander part, but also I have included fire prevention. Now, honestly, at the moment, at this point in time, that this commander that I have been using is no doubt the commander called John Jacques Honoré, but it's actually kind of funny though. I'm trying to pronunciate these things. But it is actually kind of funny, because like when I saw this commander name in action, it's weird. It's weird when I put this together though. But anyways, regardless of which, this is a fantastic opportunity to see how good the Bourgogne is in action. The gun range on this thing, just to give you a bit of an idea, what you're dealing with is 24.8 kilometers without any modules added on top of it. Now, the thing is that, do I really want anything special in terms of that? Well, not exactly. I mean, like, let's just be realistic. I mean, like, I don't see myself really asking much when I do this sort of thing. But yeah, it's just like, it is what it is. But it is a pretty decent build all around. So let me just see what happens here. But here we go. We got some good shells coming in on the target, and we're gonna smash it with a bit of a penetration hit right there. That's alright, don't worry about it too much. But look, let me show you the modules and stuff like that. So let me just expand this for a little bit and explain as we talk. So what you're seeing here is that the modules that I've included on the Bourgogne is the main armament, damage control system modification 1, the aiming system modification, also the damage control system modification 2, the concealment, and last but not least, the main battery modification 3. Now in terms of like the flags and stuff like that, I mean, like, I just go what has been recommended, and at this stage it is actually looking pretty damn neat. But yeah, that being said though, it is a pretty good setup, no doubt. But what I was mentioning earlier though is that notice that the gunfighting range is at 24.8 kilometers. Let's just see how much this thing does perform. This Bourgogne warship, when I first got it, I have to admit, took a bit of getting used to it in terms of kiting, in terms of maneuverability, firepower and everything. This ship does pack a punch. I have encountered it many times on the battlefield against other people out there, and they have played exceptionally well, and I want to learn how to play that. I have seen a lot of good people that I know very well who have done this very well, and yeah, it's just like I will say that I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. So anyway, but the shells on the ship is pretty impressive with the HE. But first and foremost, the HE on the shells on the ship is pretty devastating. First and foremost, what I can tell you is that the HE shells on this warship is pretty devastating, and it does tick pretty quickly as you spec it correctly. The AP shells is just as good as well too, but it works to advantage. But the only thing about this ship that is a little bit different is that there's a depth charge airstrike, which is kind of weird if you ask me. But the heals, the reload, everything that's in it at the moment is actually pretty cool. But I have to say though, it's actually not bad. Just while watching this in action, I'm like, I have to say that for a warship that is quite maneuverable and has great secondaries, honestly, it has a lot of great opportunities. It sure does. And see that ASW is actually pretty responsive as well. But as you notice that I have swapped over to AP, and just by focusing to the rear of cruisers, generally speaking, they cannot handle, you know, like a full-on salvo from a Bourgogne if you're on low health like that. And that's a good example of how I took out the Seattle. But I will admit though, this ship, the secondaries, the range of it right now, see how I'm pinging that battleship in the distance? That ship is really getting hammered hard right now. So it's kind of, well, it's a cruiser actually, but see that how that cruiser is getting hammered. It's quite evident that, you know, like, this ship really moves and it does really pack a punch. At this moment I still have like secondaries and also AP shells loaded, and firing shells like that at a long distance. Look at that, homing in, it was pretty accurate, and see, it's actually pretty interesting. Honestly, that with everything going on, it is a great warship to play. As you can tell, that when you think about it, when you're using this warship for many reasons, is the Bourgogne really a battleship or cruiser or destroyer killer? It's pretty much all of the above, and including carriers as well too. When you go up against super ships though, it's a little bit of a challenge. Okay, so super ships can be a bit of a pain, I have to say, but this ship can actually take a punch at some level, but at the same time though, that I will be honest though, this Bourgogne really does a great solid job of everything it does. Now, there's a couple things that you need to understand when playing how to play the Bourgogne. First and foremost, that staying bow in or a little bit of an angle towards your target is not a bad idea. Notice that how I got my Bourgogne, like in terms of a little bit broadside to the poison, for example. The guns are pretty accurate, but always keep your ship on a little bit angle like that, for example, on to any warship that may have a lineup on you. So it looks good so far. But notice that the Bourgogne gun arc and shells are actually pretty accurate, which is very good. I have to say though, that this ship really does move. It really does. The one big weakness that I have found with the Bourgogne is that if there are multiple battleships nearby, the chances are survival for the Bourgogne is pretty much very slim. However, the Bourgogne can win a single fight to a battleship or cruiser with no problem if they have angled themselves wrong or have shown a broadside. The reload booster is a very important thing, and honestly, having a reload booster is actually an exceptional option for you to use, especially in a battle like this. Now, as you can see here, that I am still having going against this the poison in the distance here, and the poison is actually getting hammered a fair bit, which is pretty awesome though. Mind you though, that this ship has a lot of potential, it really does. Notice that the reload time is actually pretty good, and the secondaries are pretty accurate on the Alvaro de Banzan, which is actually pretty awesome. This ship actually really does know how to pack a punch. If you aim your shells correctly, just above the waterline, the ship's shells will actually penetrate through the enemy ship's hull on the upper deck, which is pretty cool. At the moment I aimed my gun shells a little bit below, and now I just aimed it a little bit higher, and there you go, the poison's been taken on. And at the same time though, with the secondaries, it's actually phenomenally awesome as well too. So this ship can be used quite well for random battles, also brawls, but also other game modes like clan battles and stuff like that, because ranked is also another thing that can be taken into consideration. But the Bourgogne is no doubt a fantastic warship. It is very maneuverable, family friendly. Funnily enough, when I say that, it is a family friendly ship because If you're worried about dispersion or anything like that, it's not too bad. It's quite forgiving. And as you can see, I just took the mains out here, and having 6 kills back to back is actually pretty damn awesome. But yeah. But anyway, I will admit though that when you see a good ship like this in the steel market for World of Warships, I will admit though, I would highly recommend this ship for you to get straight away. The Bourgogne is one of the ships that it has been around for quite some time in World of Warships. If Wargaming were to make changes to it, I know that there's another warship that's just as good or supposedly to be better. It's called the Patrie, which is a super friendship warship, super ship that's similar to the Bourgogne. But the Bourgogne, in my opinion, has one thing going for her, is that it's got good armor, good firepower, and good reload boosters. But if you use it in your own, way that is to your own benefit, I have to admit that the Bourgogne is very forgiving with mistakes. So as you can see here, that I have demonstrated a lot of impressive firepower on this ship, and the secondary, as you can tell, is actually very good in starting fires as well. The guns are fairly accurate on this thing, so overall this ship is very, very well done. But yeah, overall though, this ship is worthwhile getting, folks. So I would highly recommend it and endorse and gain yourself the Bourgogne for yourself. But yeah, that ship is actually worthwhile getting. But definitely worthwhile.